On April 24th, in full confinement due to the coronavirus pandemic, Paqui, 22, and Francisco, 23, welcomed their first baby with great enthusiasm. However, they did not imagine that months later, on August 8th, a tragedy would tarnish the joy of Hugo's birth. Hugo died last Friday at the Virgen de la Araxaca Hospital in Murcia after being hospitalized for 43 days. His parents denounced that they were victims of negligence and asked for justice. His lawyer, Alfredo Nájez de la Cruz, confirmed the news of his death. During the early hours of June 26, Hugo had a fever after receiving 3 vaccinations at the Puerto Lumbreras Health Center. The next morning his parents called 24 times to contact the pediatric service because their son was getting worse. The pediatrician did not see Hugo that same Friday, June 26. Nor did she refer the baby to the hospital. She simply attended to the mother by telephone to prescribe a parenteral every 8 hours and recommend baths with warm water. Francisco and Paqui followed the recommendations to the letter, but neither the medicine or the baths were effective. So Paqui called the pediatric service again, but no one answered. Hugo fell asleep, and they waited for him to wake up to communicate with the emergency service that worked in the afternoon at the Almendricos Health Center, the district of Lorca where the couple lives. They were transferred to the health center, and Hugo had a body temperature of more than 39 degrees Celsius, so they immediately referred him to the Rafael Mendez de Lorca Hospital. When the baby arrived, he was convulsing and crying inconsolably. The doctors transferred him to the pediatric ward to perform a bone marrow puncture and rule out that he had meningitis. In addition, they gave him oxygen. That day, at night, Hugo was transferred to the intensive care unit of the maternal hospital of La Araxaca in Murcia. The results of the National Center for Microbiology of Mayadonda confirmed that the child had variant 01 of the Vibrio cholera bacterium, although not the 139, which is the toxin that causes cholera. Hugo was diagnosed with bacterial meningitis. Francisco and Paqui lived a nightmare. Hugo's parents moved into the hospital, devastated and distraught. They knew his son had severe brain damage because he wasn't even able to respond to messages of love and support from him. The baby no longer made gestures with his face or followed his parents with his eyes. Every day they saw how he faded away. The worst forecast was fulfilled. Last Friday at 10:30 p.m., Hugo died after suffering a respiratory arrest. Unfortunately, the worst prognosis came true. The little one was unable to resist the serious injuries suffered by his body. His family buried him in Hercule Overa. Asked for justice, the Superior Prosecutor's Office opened an investigation into the case that has shocked the country. They assure that they will clarify if medical negligence was committed with the baby in the Murcian Health Service. They are analyzing the 3 vaccines that were given to the child, as well as the water and formula milk that he consumed the days before being admitted to the hospital. The family lawyer said, "A priori, in the actions of the pediatrician, it seems to us that there could have been some type of negligence." He reported that they will present an instance to demand the pertinent analyses from the Ministry of Health. He questioned that the ministry has not provided them with Hugo's medical history to analyze the care he received and the diagnostic tests that were carried out before being transferred to the hospital where he died. "It seems impressive to me that we do not have the medical history, although we asked for it 3 weeks ago," said the lawyer. Francisco declared, "If they had seen my son before, instead of having spent 16 hours with a fever, perhaps this would not be the situation." Paqui cannot ignore the memory of having to call the Puerto Lumbreras Health Center 24 times. "The protocol has failed," the grieving mother said. "Solidarity of your community." Antonio Diaz spoke out about the case and called a demonstration to express his solidarity and that of the neighbors with Hugo's parents. They demand that the Ministry of Health resume the face-to-face pediatric service at the Almendricos Health Center that they eliminated last April. Hugo's parents are heartbroken. They had to say goodbye too quickly to their first child. "We buried him with a stuffed animal that my grandmother gave him, a teddy bear, and an Atletico Madrid scarf. We called him Hugo because I liked that name a lot since I was a child, and there I did not leave Francisco any option. He did not have a voice and vote," said Paqui.